still ain't figured this out. I'm in it for the long run. I still ain't figured this out, man. She said she got the answers. I still ain't figured this out. He said he got the cue. I still ain't figured this out, man. I'm in it for the long haul.
Welcome to another episode of the Crappy Awesome Podcast. It's your boy Kill C Ray. We're gonna jump right into it. I got a really dope guest on. She's been a personal friend of ours at Platform Collection for quite some time. You've heard her on the show before. I feel like she's one of those artists that we can constantly say like, oh, we have like chapters of her life on at Crappy Awesome. So I feel like that's a dope thing. But yeah, man, Kiddo is here. Kiddo, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you so much. It's been such a long time since I've gotten to sit down and talk to you guys, man.
I know, man. A lot has changed.
Beyond excited.
We're in some weird times, right?
Weird, beyond weird.
Yeah, and so I feel like we're there's a lot that has changed. I feel like for you though, in particular, you were in the middle of pretty much just promoting your career, right? When the pandemic happened, it seemed like you guys were like really on a you guys were in a place where you guys were really trying to push up a level again. Just kind of talk to me a little bit about how, when it all hit with the pandemic first, where were you and like what was going on in your life at that time?
A lot of personal things were going on at that time. It was kind of like crazy to say just off the top. I was kind of like losing loved ones and having to move from the place that I was living and like looking for different jobs and in the process of like trying to complete this album that I feel like I've been working on for like ages. So I kind of went into 2020 like I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to keep obviously promoting myself the same way that I have been and obviously keep promoting the crew as well. But I feel like we all kind of just were in a phase of like, okay, we just had come back traveling, for the past 2 years, like that's what we were focused on. And now we're all just focused on our music and pushing each other's music and really creating projects, putting out singles, and all of that stuff. So I was kind of going into it like that, like, okay, like, is this going to be like, quote, quote, the year, that I complete my albums and I have all the music videos that I want to have and like all the merch that I want to have and everything that I like have been envisioning, for like official release of my first like debut real project. I feel like it's
right.
A real project to me because the first one was just like, hey, this is me, I'm a rapper, like, here guys, you know what I mean? Not a lot of thought was put into it, not a lot of like planning was put into it. I didn't even want to really show, and it's crazy. So I really am coming at my music a lot differently and feeling like I was going through so many changes as an artist. Then all this shit hits and it's like, damn, like what is gonna happen? Like nothing is guaranteed. Like literally all I can do is just
were you
right?
Did you feel like it hit you like were you depressed? Were you bummed? Like what were you feeling when it happened? I mean, did it I don't know how it was. I was in San Diego. Obviously you're up in LA. Did it around you? Did it seem like everybody was taking everything serious right away, or did it come on slowly? How was it for you?
Yeah, I think it was kind of like a hit right away, because none of us knew what the fuck to do, and all of us were just like, all right, like it's time to just lock down and stay home and like thinking about our families and stuff. And yeah, it was kind of quick, and just obviously the media and everything is its own like thing, like following with the media and all that was just first, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we really didn't know what to think, kind of just playing it like by ear. A lot of us were already like on the grind, just working and going home and writing and going to sleep, so it was just like in between the shows and everything, we just had our little winter run and whatever, and the spring was kicking in. So yeah, it kind of came on all at once in a way, and it was weird, but at the same time it wasn't. I feel like personally I was kind of praying for time, just to like not have to get up and be a regular fucking person every day and do a
Yeah.
9 to 5 and only have like 4 hours to work on my art and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I was like, damn, when is something going to change? When am I going to get out of this like cycle that I felt like I was in? Because like I said, it feels like I've been working on this album that I have been envisioning like for such a long time, you know, and it's kind of, it has gotten frustrating. I go through these little cycles of like, what the fuck? Like, when is this going to happen? Like, when am I going to finally like explode with all this shit, right? But and then all of a sudden we have the time now, you know, and it's a trip. So I feel like I was just personally with all the changes going on and just myself, I'm gonna be really transparent, but I just go through my, I guess, depressive cycles, especially when the world is going through things, you know, when the entire world around me is like in turmoil, like that shit really affects me, you know. I know everybody feels differently about, you know, global crises and stuff like that, but that on top of just the personal family members and like, you know, lost a couple friends and things like that, like it was just all kind of weighing down, and the feeling of like, damn, my music is still not out, or like I still have so much to say and so much to write, and for some reason it just feels like I'm stuck in this place, right? And I have been writing, you know, the entire time too, but it's just like it's a process.
Do you think that it's did you feel like, because you talked a lot about like hoping for things to change, and I definitely feel you on. I mean, I think most of the people that we know that are creative seem to be able to tap into that energy, and it affects them in a real deep way. I've seen it a lot with a lot of the artists that we work with. With you though, what does that look like when like the depression sets in? Like, what does it look like physically? Like, if people who might, you know, who don't know your day to day, what does it look like?
I definitely kind of close myself off to the world, which is something that I'm working on, especially as an artist and being someone who wants to have their voice heard, who wants to connect with other people, who wants to, you know, use this as a tool to like reach out to my community, to the world, you know, all this stuff. It's crazy because I go into this complete like shut everything out mode. And like, I guess just to try to give myself time to like wrap my head around what I'm feeling. I've always been a person who, I guess, I feel a lot of emotions, but I haven't always been okay with them. So I feel like I've learned, and I'm still learning, how to like really process things and how to, I guess, react in the most healthy ways that I possibly can, because I have a history of like complete, like, you know, self-destructive ways, you know. So I'm really trying to like climb out of that shit, really like push forward and still be able to like accomplish things that I want to accomplish to help other people. I feel like I do.
Unpack that a little bit though, because you saying like you have like destructive ways, and I mean, just knowing you, you know, the little that I do, and people, I would think that people who take in your art, it's not like they necessarily, and I've heard you rap about it for sure, but you seem to have it like all together. Like, it seems like you're a very calm person. In fact, I can tell you this. I don't know if I know, in fact, I know for sure. I personally have never even seen you mad. So what is it like? What does it look like? You know what I mean? Like, what are you, when you're in that place where you're like, I'm shutting everything off, I can't be around anything. Do you feel like you're a person that like people can't talk to? Like, what is it?
I don't think so much it's that people can't talk to me, because I do try to reach out to like my loved ones who I really, really trust and I can be open with and comfortable with. And honestly, even when I just have like acquaintances and friends, like if I'm able to feel safe, I guess, then like, you know, feel like the vibe is right, I'll be open with certain things that I feel and what I'm going through, whatever. But a lot of the time, I guess personally, I've kind of had an issue with vulnerability, which is funny again because I'm an artist and I'm out here like putting my heart out there for people to see it. So that has been a struggle just internally, I guess, like knowing that it's okay to feel everything that I'm feeling and that like it's valid regardless of whether it's a small problem or a big problem or whatever it is, like it's valid. And I know that there's other people that relate to it. Everybody's going through shit. And that's the thing that I've realized. So for me to be able to actually like remind myself of that, like it's cool, like don't beat yourself up for like feeling this way. Don't feel like you can't tell anybody how you're feeling or like you're burdening people. Because I guess I feel like that too. You know, like I'm not trying to dump my shit on everybody else. Like I'll kind of handle this myself. It's kind of how I've always been. And so, yeah, I'm kind of learning how to let that out, which is kind of going through to my art as well. Because I mean, a lot of the new stuff I'm writing and all the stuff that I've actually written is pretty like, I throw some personal shit in there, whether people catch it or not. I do throw a lot of like personal little facts and stuff about myself and little vulnerable moments and vulnerable lines. And I'm learning how to really like embrace that shit, because I know even the songs that I was like, damn, am I saying too much? Like, am I, you know, is this too deep?
Yeah.
You know, those are always the ones that people like really like attach.
I mean, you've talked about
to.
some pretty personal. I mean, you've talked about your dad, your relationship with your dad. You know, you've talked about like growing up under that type of pressure and different things. And you have, like I said, it's not like you haven't said that you have had times where you're not your highest self. But I think as like a fan, it's hard to imagine. You know what I mean? Because even the parts of you that are like unsure of like your own art, like you're unsure of your own art, but you're also rocking like on stage in front of all these people, and it seems like it's all good. Like, you know, and I think this
it feels like a huge.
I think it's an
Yeah, it
important
feels like
thing because it's a lot of the times our friends, you know, we always hear that thing like check on your strong friends because you never know what's going on inside.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And I do feel like I've put myself in the position of the strong friend, and by choice too. You know, like there has definitely been a lot of times where I'm going through something and I don't effectively communicate that to the people around me. So they kind of think, like you said, like everything's all good. Oh, she's cool. Like she's over here, like, you know, drinking with us or whatever. Like she's chill. But really, like, you know, it comes out in different ways, and it does affect, you know, my relationships with people, and like I think even my creative process and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely like learning how to just be fucking vocal about shit, especially during times like this, you know, like it's stuff that people don't talk about enough. And when I do, I figured, you know, even whether it's in a song or whether it's on social media, there are times where I do share pretty personal things on social media as well, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, or whatever. And there's always like a little bit of anxiety, like before I like shoot the tweet or whatever, like, damn, am I saying too much again? And I'm like, nah, like this, I have to remind myself, like, this is what I asked for. I asked for a platform where I can connect with other people, where I can share my feelings through my art with other people and have them receive everything that I'm trying to give. And if I'm not giving 100%, what am I really giving? You know, like, why am I even doing it in the first place? So yeah, I've had to build up kind of a strength to just say what I have to say, especially in times like this. And when I do that, I've discovered that it's so fucking rewarding. And there are people out there who like feel exactly the same way, and it's helped them in some way, shape, or form. And like people who followed me for years, you know, because they connected with something that they heard in my music, you know. So it all kind of comes back to that for me.
For sure. I think that
it's a huge cycle.
Yeah, I think that even there's, as somebody who's kind of, you know, taking an interest in covering the scene, you are definitely one of those artists that I would say, as you know, from like a journalistic standpoint, that has always kind of worn their heart on their sleeve. You do say things. You come off as if that's the thing, right? I'm sure at this point it's just like an every show thing where people don't see, like they see you come out and they're like, oh, what is she gonna do? And then you rap and everybody's like, oh, like you. But after a while, that has happened so many times that you know that people don't see you necessarily as, because you're small in stature, right? It's not like you're a really tall person or a big person. You're small in stature, so people kind of tend to think like, oh, again, like I feel like I don't ever feel like a negative thing from you ever. You do a really good job at that, dude. You know what I mean? You do a really good job. And to hear that you are going through things, you know, that I think it is important for you to talk about it, because even as your supporters, like I said, we're not aware, and now that some of us will be aware, it is something that we'll be looking like, you know, I think we all kind of need that. And I feel, you know, you as an artist, like that's the other thing though, you know, like you have had somewhat of a very public like growth in hip hop. Like it's been public. It's not like you got to just develop and then come out and then you did it all in front of everybody, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
that already is a very vulnerable place. But I always tell like artists like I think it's cool if you treat it like this, right? You treat it like you're an astronaut, like you're going into this planet of Kiddo, and you're going to tell us what it's like there. You know what I mean? Because we're not doing that. You're doing that,
yeah,
and we need someone to
exactly.
bring that information back. So yeah, man, I hope that you are finding like ways to work through it. I mean, are you got any good advice for people who are kind of struggling with maybe like you said, I think the essence of what you're saying is like the inability to express yourself completely, is
Yeah, yeah.
so what advice would you have for somebody who's maybe watching this and they're like having a hard time like speaking their truth?
I would just say, I mean, as hard as it is and as uncomfortable as it is, and honestly, sometimes it's even painful to be able to really let some of these things out. Because I feel like there's so many things, like even within myself, that it's like I know this is an issue, or I know that this is weighing on me, and I'm kind of like disregarding it or bearing it down or kind of just like lying to myself like, oh no, you're good, because you know how many times I do that and why it's so easy, like, oh no, you're good, that's cool, like that's not bothering you, like, you know what I mean. And it does come out one way or another. It does affect you one way or another. If you're holding some shit, it's gonna stay with you, and it's gonna continue like kind of torturing you until you do release it in some way, shape, or form. So, I mean, I urge everyone to release what they have to release in whatever way that is, whether it's art, whether it's just talking to your friend, like calling your mom or whatever, like painting in a color book, whatever the fuck it is, like release that shit and just be honest, I guess, with yourself about it, because it will be okay. And I mean, I've learned that when you do address difficult things, even if it's just like a self-talk, like, all right, I'm gonna address this is wrong and I need to change or I need to fix something,
Yeah.
like even that, as hard as it is, and even if you don't tell anybody, like that in itself, and being able to like go through that process with yourself is like the first step, and it's the most important.
That's
A
super
change
dope.
will come from it, a change will come from it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was talking with Hip Hop Eddie, our producer, Eddie. We were talking about how for a lot of people, especially people who get into like a depressive state, I can completely relate. It's pretty well documented. Like I understand like when people have gotten to that point where they're like, I don't want to do this anymore, or they're having those thoughts. One thing I can learn, and I definitely haven't learned it all, but one thing I have learned is like right on the other side of that feeling is so much happiness and truth, because once you become okay with whatever it is that people see you as, whatever that
Yeah,
is, right? Once you have the knowledge to know that you're the one who's truly in charge of what your definition is, and everybody else, they're going to think what they're going to think no matter what you do, right?
yeah,
But like I know, and I see you doing the work, like there is a feeling of freedom, especially artistically, when you just don't give a fuck what people think anymore. Like
right, right,
you start to put out
exactly.
like some of the best stuff you've ever done. And I think every artist that we've had on this show who's gotten to that point, they ended up going to put on like their most prolific work because it's just so honest.
Yeah, and I definitely feel like although I have been honest, and maybe sometimes I use metaphors in my music, and I kind of try to like cover it up, like you said, like even at shows or whatever. Like although I could have been going through like a tough ass day and like talking shit to myself in real life, I'm gonna go to the show and I'm gonna show as much love as I can to other people. And it's funny how that works, like sometimes we don't show ourselves the love that we want to like go and portray to others, and I feel like I've done that a lot. And just because I guess I want that for myself too. And it's a trip that I've been learning all this shit, and then now there's a pandemic and all this fucking crazy madness is going on in the world, and I haven't even dropped my first debut album. So it's like the fact that I've been writing through all of this stuff, now I have this like just huge ass box of content
Yeah.
and
So
topics that
so
I'm talking about. And
Where do you go for where do you go from here? Have you already started thinking about well, let me ask you this though. As someone who is because one of the big things that I know has affected all of us, it's affected all the artistic community, is the ability to go to our fans, right? And the ability to be out on the road. None of us have an answer yet. Like we're all kind of figuring out what that's going to look like moving forward. Is it going to get back to a normal place ever? Like what is normal looking like in your mind right now, and maybe within the conversations that you've had with the crew and everything, where do you see things going in these next few months to a year? Like what do you think that it looks like, or do you even know yet?
Right now, I mean, I'm in a position of like we don't even know at all. I think some of our best music that's ever been created is about to come out. Like you're saying, like when you really get to a place of like I don't give a fuck anymore, which is kind of where I feel the entire world is at the moment.
Yeah.
And like as artists, like what other choice do we really have to either like stop doing our art and just live this life of madness, or continue like creating through all this stuff? Like you're saying, I mean, personally, I'm in a place where I have stopped giving a fuck. And I feel like it was like that when I dropped my first project and it's like, ooh, do I want to be a rapper? I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna create this like 7-track album, I'm gonna throw it out. And now I'm like in a place where like, okay, I did that. So how deep do I want to go with it? What information do I want to give out to the people that are listening, that want to hear it? You know, am I going too deep? Whatever. And I am in a place where I'm like, I don't care what I say anymore. I've written some personal songs that I've been even like low key afraid to even record because
Yeah.
I'm afraid for other people to hear them. But that's the kind of thing that I know is going to make a difference to someone who
Yeah.
will hear it and relate to it. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So I feel like my best stuff is coming, and I'm kind of just in a state of like taking it day by day for sure. But just planning for that, planning on how to, I guess, release it and how to execute it, because I mean, it's all about that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because we're at this place where I know all of us as artists are kind of, everybody's eager. I know, man, I know so many artists who were like right in the middle of dropping something, or we're just about to drop, or we had a tour plan. Like there was a bunch of stuff. I know you guys had a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
I was thought we'll probably have Reverie coming on the show soon.
So,
She tours for a living. You know what I mean? So this really affected the entertainment business as a whole, but like the
yeah,
indie and underground scenes were deeply affected because most of the stuff that we make on our own, and
yeah,
there's not there's not a parachute for it. You know what I mean? Because to be quite honest, to do a lot of this stuff, this as someone who took off to Europe with, a hope and a dream. A lot of
yeah,
the times you have to go all in. That's what this is. In fact, that's how this business weeds people out. Is because
yeah, exactly.
when they don't go all in, they don't you're not going to make it. That's just the
Yeah,
truth. So I feel like with you, you're at this place where people are. I mean, now they're anticipating it more than before because it has been so long since they've really
yeah.
heard you, in up front, like really talking your mind. How do you feel like what you're saying now is different from what you were saying when you put out the first stuff?
I think I'm just communicating my messages more clearly, to be honest, because I feel like I was always kind of saying similar things. I just didn't really know exactly how to say them, or like how to approach even saying them. And like I said, I cover them up in ill bars or whatever. But I feel like I'm being a lot more direct with my concepts these days, and just like saying exactly what I need to, even though it's like some of it's emotional or whatever. But I feel like I'm coming with like the same energy, if not more, that I already had, because like I said, I have gotten to a point where it's like I was the artist that was like insecure about myself, insecure about my work. I took so long to show anybody like my first tracks and all that stuff, and even dropping my first project was, just weird for me. But I'm in a place now where it's like you said, it's all in or nothing, and I'm realizing that. And I think for a lot of people, it's kind of a hard pill to swallow, because it's like, it's true, like it's sink or swim. Like you're either gonna put your all into that shit and you're gonna make it to the island, or you're not and you're gonna sink. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's just how it is. You know, and even for people to hear you, like we were talking about what you were saying about me going on stage and like being a little shorty, and like people are like, oh, who's this girl, whatever. And it's like, as an artist, I kind of, as a woman and whatever, I have to break through that first before people are actually like hear what I'm saying. You know, I'm so grateful when I'm at a show and someone walks up to me and they're like, hey, you said this, this, and this. Like you said this line, and I really connected with that, or like I thought that was really dope, and it's just like, damn, they're actually listening to what I'm saying. But how often does that happen? You know, like having to break through that, and I feel like I'm being a lot more clear with what I have to say, like people can hear it.
Yeah, and I
You know,
think I mean
which is
I can
scary.
definitely attest for, you know, the fact that you I feel like for sure there was um, an era of you being thrown into the deep end right from the beginning. You know, it wasn't like, again, like I said, you didn't have like this whole thing of like, oh, she had like this really, you know, out of sight, out of mind career before we all knew about her. It was literally like, yo, here's my first few shows. Oh shit, I'm getting coverage. Oh shit, people are sharing my shit. Oh shit, I'm out there. Oh shit, now everybody's watching.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
that. I feel like one of the things that did for you, and I always thought about it early on when we first, you know, were working with you. Like I always think about that when artists are having that kind of attention. Like, yo, I wonder how is this going to change someone? And I can tell you this:
Yeah.
I think I can honestly say with you, it has not changed you at all. Like you're still the same sincere person. But I do feel this. I think it battle hardened you. You know what I mean? Like it puts
bit.
you in a place where it is probably easier now to let things roll off your back, because honestly, who gives a fuck? You were against the odds already from the jump, so it wasn't like anybody was going to say something and make it worse. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you had to work for everything you got.
Yeah, pretty much, man. And I've thought about that too. Like, man, I could just stop. Like, I could just stop right here, and I wonder what would happen. But at the same time, it was all so much at one time, and I feel like I do have to remind myself of that sometimes, because it feels like it's been a long road, but in reality, like, I don't know, kind of years or whatever, like, it goes so fast, and just the way it all happened so quick. I went from like, I don't know if I want to even be a rapper, call myself a rapper.
Right.
All right, let me try to record for the first time to, yo, I'm performing with Birds at the Roxy.
Yeah.
Like, at Felipe Esparza in front of thousands of people. And that shit was just like, I had no choice but to roll with the punches. And like, sometimes I didn't feel like I was prepared for those things. But I do feel like it prepared me for what's to come. And it really, like, put me in a place, I guess, humbled me a bit, even if it had to, because just putting me in a place where, like, all right, this already happened to me. All this shit already happened. You know, it was kind of a cannonball that exploded, and then it was a great ass time. But what about longevity? Like, what am I gonna do to make sure that I stay here?
Yeah.
And that I stay relevant, and that my voice stays heard. That I'm not just that little girl that jumped on stage and then, you know, like what happened, because it happens to a lot of artists. So many artists, it happens to them, and like, you know, and that's where the mentality of like, okay, let me just block everything out because like shit's not going right, and I just, you know, fuck everything, fuck the world, blah blah blah. Like, I'm realizing that doesn't work anymore. It's not working. You know what I mean? Like, I can't do that anymore. I'm in a position where I need to be able to speak my mind, and I need to be able to reach and connect with people, like, for my own good, but especially for my career. You know, this is something that I want to keep with, like, 100% or nothing, like you said, man. It's been a wild journey.
Yeah, I feel like it's. How old are you now?
I'm 27.
Yeah, see, that's crazy. It's people. It's people are like. It's so weird how, like, again, it's not like, and I don't, at this point in my career, I don't blame fans for anything really. Like, they interpret it how they do. It's sometimes they get it perfect. Sometimes they're so far off, just like everybody. Right? Like, so I don't expect it to be perfect, but it is always a weird thing when fans don't, because like it's almost like they assumed, like, when you came onto the scene again, like as if you had always been there, and it's, you know, you've had all these years under your belt, but but it's so far from the truth, you know. And how many stories in our business are like that? You know, like there's a lot of
Yeah.
them, and I think it would help for people to give the artists more of like, I don't know, like lessen the noose a little bit. You know what I mean? Because I think we
Yeah.
are getting to a point where, especially now with social media, especially with platforms like these, you know, people are judging everything you do. You know, like
Yeah.
in fact, we've built, you know, whole business, like all of social media is based on judgment, right? It's
Yeah.
based on some judgment. It's based on some kind of opinion. But we also, I think we're starting to get into a place, especially with what, you know, what's going on now, where at least I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. I
Yeah.
feel like people are starting to, and it's, dude, it sucks. I know it sucks to say starting, right? Because
Yeah.
this shit should have been going on forever. But I just had a super dope conversation with the homie Parker, and like he said, it was really dope. He said we can't get angry at people for just discovering their truth now. Like the fact that they're discovering their
Yeah.
truth at all is something to be
Exactly.
said. So we, even if you've been there for a while, you know what I mean? Like even if you've
Hmm.
been at that place where, you know, you've been aware of things and all these things you've seen coming for a while, I think it's important for us, especially as artists, to really be there for our supporters and fans in a way where we're at least saying we understand, like we get it, like,
Yeah.
you know, it's not everybody has the same tools. You know,
Yeah.
you have this
Exactly.
amazing tool that, again, we've talked about many times. Like it's like 1% of the population that actually gets to do the things that you do. And of course, that's going to come with a bunch of pressure, and it's going to come with at times wondering if you deserve it, or is it? Am I the person that? Dude, I get all that shit, and I will tell you this
Yeah.
for sure: you deserve it for sure. I've seen you put the work
Thank you
in.
so much.
If that will never be an argument that I'll get into with anybody, because I saw it with my own eyes. It wasn't like nobody's ever putting the pin for you. Nobody's doing any of that stuff. Like this is a real MC, and the fact
Yeah.
that she just
Thank you.
happens to be a woman is, it is what it is. But it is,
Yeah.
but it's fucking interesting. It is. I can tell
Hmm.
you that as a fucking guy, it's fucking interesting as fuck, because I think about like the stuff that I have to deal with, and then I hear your stories, and I'm like, fuck. Like it's, you know,
Yeah, man, it's crazy.
dude, I can tell you, I've seen DMs from mutual friends of ours that are female artists,
Right.
and the shit that you
Dude.
guys have to deal with is fucking crazy.
And I've chosen not to put people on blast sometimes. Man, dude, it is crazy. And even in person too, it's like people just they get this perception of you or whatever, and they think they can kind of just talk to you however you
I
want.
bet.
Yeah, it happens to everybody, but obviously as a woman, that shit's a whole other story. My bad. Do you mind if I change my location real quick?
No, go ahead.
Okay, give me a sec.
She's gonna make the move right now. We're live with Kiddo. Yeah, guys, I think that it is important if you're an artist out there and you're looking at Kiddo and like some of the examples that she's been able to put through. Like I think, you know, are put forward. I think there's a lot to learn there. But I think one of the biggest lessons, period, is just being able to sit with yourself, you know, and be okay with it. So yeah, man, I'm excited for what she's got coming up. She's currently changing locations. This is how we are now. This is how shows are now. We keep it real. Let's see, is she back in? I don't have you yet. Do you have your camera on? It seems like your camera. There you go. She's back. Yes, I can. So she's back. Yeah, man. Okay, so let's talk about, obviously, we're in this pandemic, right? All these changes are happening, and then it seems like literally we just wake up one day and now we're in the midst of these social issues that have existed forever, but now are at the forefront of what's going on here in America. And I think it's interesting as artists. I've asked this for I asked the last interview I did this. What do you feel like? I'm going to play off of it a little bit. Not necessarily what your responsibility is as an artist, but what do you feel like you have in mind to like contribute to the conversation?
I definitely feel you can hear me okay, right?
I got you. Yeah, it's a little different.
My bad. I had the earphones on, but I had to plug my shit in. I definitely feel like it's my job, I guess. I mean, kind of the whole idea of what I've been saying this whole time about being vulnerable and being okay with sharing this stuff with the world is that there are so many other people that could use that, who like need that from artists, because a lot of us don't know how to say it ourselves, which I feel like even made me an artist in the first place. It's like I had all these things going on in my mind and I just kind of like didn't know exactly how to express them. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's important for artists to connect with issues that are going on in the world, because so many people are going through these emotions, and these are strong emotions. These are, so much anger, so much sadness, depression. Like it's been crazy. And I mean, those are things that are already an issue on a regular basis. And imagine with fucking riots going on and people dying from illnesses, and it's wild. And I feel like it's our job to be able to we want to connect with people. That's the reason that we're even making this art, right? Unless you're doing it for the money or whatever else. And I personally don't think that you should be doing it. But for me, it's like, if this is what I want to do and this is what I chose for my path, like, why am I not going to speak my truth and like say what I have to say and shed light about certain things? And I'm a person, like, I really try to keep it as realistic as I possibly can. I am very optimistic and I try to be at least. But yeah, I really think that it's important to keep it real about these issues, because we're all going through it. Like, all of us are going through it. So why not use your platform as an artist? And
What have you seen out there so far on in your side of the woods? What's it look like? How are the people reacting to everything going on?
I've had different conversations with different people, like even certain people that are close to me that like have different ideas about what's going on than I do, and like even disagreements, I guess, or whatever, and just learning how to communicate like different ideas, and like being able to all share our sides of everything. And I think it's really important, even in that case, to listen to what other people have to say, because I feel like right now it's a time where things get very heated very quickly and like emotions are running really high. Sorry, I might switch. But it's important to be able to hear what everyone has to say, regardless of whether or not I agree with it. So I feel like I've had to have different conversations and like just different phases of it. And I personally, right now, I live in LA County, but I don't live in a place where it's like super wild. Like my homegirl, for example, who lives in West Hollywood, and she's got like the army at her front door, basically, right now. Like it's just wild to see it, and wild to be a part of it. And I mean, personally, I'm trying to do my best to like, I guess, share as much knowledge as I can about it. I'm kind of learning as I go as well, but anything that I can possibly help with, like, I try to share that and use my platform for that. In this time we all each other. You know what I mean?
So let me ask you this: like when you are thinking about like your like moving forward with your career, and and now that we're kind of like in this place. I mean, dude, you know what I was thinking about the other day is like we still have the fucking elections coming up. Like it's not even the craziest it's gonna be yet. Like it's about to be really crazy. But I mean, you moving forward, do you feel like now that this thing is happening? Because I know for me, for sure, what this has done is it has definitely confirmed an idea that I've always had, but I've never experienced it in my lifetime. But the fact that this shit could change overnight and everything you depended on can change overnight is such a reality now. I wonder if it has it affected like the way you're looking at your career? Like, have you had time to sit there and think about like, oh man, I'm talking long term, but what is long term now? Like, what the fuck is that? You know?
Exactly. And honestly, I've been in a place where it's like, if I were to like die today, would I be okay with people hearing what I have created? Like in this moment in time, like, am I satisfied with what I've done so far? And what can I do in this very fucking moment to make sure that I do feel good about what it is that I'm doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whether it's art, patient, and anything else that's going on. And even just as a person, like internally, like I need to make sure I'm, just sharpened all the way. And it has made me think about, like, of course I want longevity. Of course I want this to happen. I want to think about the next 5 years, but we're literally in a place right now where it's like the next, like, 2 months could mean so much, could change so much. So, like, I mean, I'm just trying to speak now while I can, like create all the art that I possibly can create right now and be as honest with myself and with others as I possibly can, because right now it's like the most important thing. We really don't know how much time we have. Like the fact that you can literally go to a peaceful protest right now and possibly lose your life or have something insane happen to you is just wild, like it really makes me think about just the present moment.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. I've been watching yesterday I tried really hard. Like I was supposed to do a podcast yesterday and I literally canceled it because I was like, yo, I'm just super angry right now. Like I couldn't shake it. You know what I mean? And it dawned on me like, oh, you know what this might be? I need to stop taking in all this. Like literally I'm watching it on the news, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Instagram. All my friends are talking about it. Everybody's posting all this stuff, which is awesome, right? In one way, it's awesome and it's beautiful, but I want us to be able to be in the fight for the long term, right? And so I think it's so important that people are taking their time, like you said, to like really like you got to water your own garden. You know what I mean? Before you can go out there and because otherwise you're not going to be any good to us. You know what I mean? You're not going to be any good to any movement if you let this crush you. So I think I'm hoping that more artists start talking about it like you are and that more artists are, because I think that's kind of when they ask about like what should we be doing, I kind of feel like that's a good role for us. You know what I mean? Like it's a good role for us to kind of like decipher the feelings. Like, yo, these feelings, I know they're strong and this is a lot, but yo, we got to really start focusing in on like we can't lose any more of us. You know what I mean? Like we definitely don't want that to happen. So we have to take care of ourselves, and mental health is such a big part of that. You know?
Yeah, for real. And it's crazy you say that because I was feeling the exact same way yesterday because I was away for the weekend and I feel like I finally came back to like a whole flood of reality. And I hadn't really processed how I felt about it all until like yesterday when I woke up at home and I'm like looking at my phone and all this shit's going on and my friends are out there fucking on the front lines and it's just it's insane to see. And I just felt like honestly I fucking kind of lost it for a second. And as a person who like genuinely gives a fuck about what's happening and in a way feeling like maybe I haven't done enough or like what can I actually do. And even as an artist, I have recently, like to be honest, gone through a period where I was like I hadn't written in a while because I feel like a lot of this shit was just so heavy, like so fucking
Oh
heavy.
yeah, that's a
And
good
I was
word
kind
for
of
it.
yeah, like it was just so much to process and so much. It's like I can't even really sit down and like express it if I haven't processed it yet. You know what I mean? So I feel like I was kind of like beating myself up a little bit because I was like, damn, like how long has it been? Counting the days. How long has it been since I wrote like my last song and my last verse? And like, what did I say in it? Why haven't I done it? And we have all this time. We're in a pandemic. And it took like someone close to me to be like, yo, like, but are you even motivated to do that right now? Do you even feel like doing that right now? Like, sure, like all this pressure from the outside sources, but like, how are you inside? Do you even feel like do you even have what you want to say like thought out to be able to express it like that, like feel like, and that's what I definitely learned. Like even yesterday, like I wanted to go out and protest. I actually did that today, but just sitting at home and kind of like feeling it all and being like, damn, I'm at home right now, all this shit's going on, and I'm not like, like what can I actually do? And it's just like I have to sit here and I have to process it. I have to feel what I feel about it first, and like really, process that within myself before I actually go out and try to like, you know,
Yeah,
express
I
it.
think it's important that people. I know when I'm taking in art. I mean, which I have my whole life. Like, I'm always looking to artists that I admire or I look to or I just listen to, and it is important for me because I know that those artists, what makes them great is the ability to decipher feelings, right? Like that's what they're talking about. Like they're able to paint the picture of a feeling that people might feel. So I think I think you're 100% right. I think that it's important that we take the time to not just speak right away, like because I saw a lot of people do that, and I was bummed out a lot, because I was just like, fuck, man, like we need to slow down before we start. We're trying to add too much to the pot, and we're losing focus on what this started with. You know what I mean? Like I said it on the last podcast I did. We are talking about cops and the treatment of black people, right? That is what we're fucking talking about. Yes, brown people like us, yes, we go through the same shit. Yes, we got people in cages. Yes, there's people being deported. Yes, there's all these other things. But we need to finish the conversation so that we can move on to these other things. And if we can't show as a people that we can have that conversation without everyone feeling like we need to throw in like this over all encompassing opinion, like I said it the other day, I think I tweeted or I put on Facebook that we really need to stop like trying to out woke each other. Like people are really trying to do that. Like, what I think and what I think, like it isn't about what you think. It's like about what we think and how we fucked that up for so long. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly. And that's why it's so important to like, I don't know, I guess be able to have these, like you said, have these conversations in the first place and like talk about how we feel before we actually, or even just, think about how we feel before we actually react. You know what I'm saying? Because it causes like a whole domino effect. And like, are we even solving the problem at hand if we're just based off all these emotions that we're having?
Yeah, for sure, man. Yo, dude, I think I think that it's I think that it's super dope. Like one of the reasons I really wanted to bring the podcast back during this time and bring the video component to it was just because I feel like it was a conversation with Eddie, our producer, him, about how we have all these amazing artists around us that have a great perspectives. It's so much so that all of us love being around this so much, like it's and that's because of the people. Like that is the people that make us all love doing this so much. But in a time like this, when people who might not be part of our circles or part of our community need to hear other perspectives, I just thought like, fuck, I need to bring my friends on the show and let people hear like, yo, here's some people who professionally process emotion. Like this is that's their job. And yeah, and here's some perspectives, And dude, that's why I want to thank you so much. You were literally one of the first people I reached out to simply because, like I said, I think that you are one of those people who has been really, really good at persevering. You know what I mean? And I think that people need that. People need that inspiration right now because we need to like, yo, we got to push through. Shit's gonna get low. We haven't even seen the worst of shit yet. Like, let's prepare. And a great way to prepare for that is us, really taking care of our own mental state.
Yeah, exactly, man. And that's why I'm really, thank you for having me on today too and continuing to go through with it. Cause I was even thinking like, damn, how's this going to go? Like in the middle of all of this shit, like this week was explosive. It was pretty crazy, like how's this guy feeling, man? But, and I even thought about it for a second, like, damn, are we still going to do this, for a sec? But I'm glad Because like I feel like definitely like you're one and the team, like the platform collection team. I always felt like it was always a safe space and a comfortable place for like artists to be able to really like share everything, like put it all out on the table and like, you know, really get like intimate about certain things. And it's so important. Like I really do feel, and like you were asking me how is it on this side? I mean, at least for me as an artist and being in this community of artists and amazing people, I haven't seen it hasn't been too negative within like close knit people. And I mean, the people that we fuck with, the people that we know, you know, as far as I see, like everyone that I really respect in the hip hop community right now is doing like everything they can to spread like positivity and spread like knowledge. And like, you know, I don't see a lot of our people like fucking fighting and going into debates. And like, I've seen artists in a way, but it's like for the most part, everybody's like really trying to like persevere, like you said, and help each other out and like really connect during these times and step it up. And it makes me really proud to be a part of it too. So I'm super in this and be able to talk about it too, because it's like, I mean, we're all feeling it, you know.
Yeah.
Important.
So okay, so but before we wrap up, man, I want to music wise, what should people expect? Is it still too soon to talk about? Is it, you know, or is it right around the corner? What should people tell people to hang tight or let them know it's coming?
No, it's coming. It's coming. And I've said it before, but right now it's like I have a fucking single ready that I honestly will just be open and say I feel like is probably my best like today. No, it's a different style from if you heard my first project, Escapism. It is completely different from what that sounds like. I mean, of course, it's still me, and I'm still like communicating certain messages and whatever. It's definitely more of like I guess, upbeat kind of like uplifting type of track, which is kind of funny because I'm in this process of like how exactly do I throw that out there right now? These crazy, do I even want to? Like the plan was already to have dropped it, and I'm kind of just holding on to it. I have a video already, and even visually, I feel like it's some of the best stuff that I've ever like created. So I'm really proud of it, and I'm a little bit nervous to drop it, but it's definitely coming like ASAP, you know.
Cool. By the end of the year, would you say? Before the end of the year?
Like this summer, like by the end of the month.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Cool.
So yeah, exactly. Like I don't want to put too much out there because I mean this is kind of like one of the first or second times I'm even talking about it, but we're here. You know what I'm saying? I know that there are people who have been waiting for something from me for a really long time, and like 2019, I feel like as an artist was all about me kind of finding myself and finding my sound, because I feel like after Escapism, it was kind of like, all right, well, what else can I do? Like I already did this and I sound like this. Well, like what other sounds can I mess with? What other producers can I like work with? How, you know, let me change some stuff here and there. So I was doing a lot of like features. I did a lot of features with a lot of artists, and I tapped into different like flows, and I totally like expanded my horizons with it. But now I'm really tapping into using all that to like really hone in on myself and really continue telling the story of like who Kiddo is, because I feel like I did that a little bit, but I haven't even shared the half of it yet. And I feel like, oh, for a fact, there are people still waiting for that from my first project, and I'm really excited for what I'm about to release, because it's like, damn, it's been a long time coming. It's time, you know, it's time.
That's awesome, man. Man, thank you so much for doing this. At Kiddo Hip Hop, right?
Yeah, everything Kiddo Hip Hop, Spotify, Apple Music, all of that. It's Kiddo EOTR. So East of the River, EOTR. For those who don't know, I represent East of the River. But I'm Kiddo. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And shout out to East of the River. Shout out to all that their fam. Guys, make sure you support everything Kiddo does. Dude, thank you so much. Especially, honestly, man, for sure, just even taking the time. I know it's crazy for everybody right now, so it's dope that we were able to connect. I would definitely be hitting you up because I'll definitely be having you on again and checking in as the project comes out. Please come back to promote the project. That'd be amazing. But thank you so much, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man. I really feel like I needed this in a way, and it's cool to be able to, like, for this to be the moment where we catch up on everything. It was just pretty, like, I don't know. It's perfect timing, I feel.
Yeah.
And hear from you guys, and good to hear that you guys are still doing your thing, and good to still be a part of it, still be connected, and I'm glad y'all are still supporting, it means the fucking world, so thank you.
Absolutely. And guys, if you didn't know this, by the way, make sure you can go over to platformcollection.com right now, go into the search, type Kiddo in there, and all her content will come up, as well as her past podcast episodes, so you can kind of catch up and see how things have changed, because things have changed a lot. But man, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yes, much love, man. Thank you so much. Stay safe.
And that was Kiddo, man. Make sure you guys check out everything that she's got going on. And East of the River. Shout out to East of the River. Guys, if you're out there in the protest, please stay peaceful. Man, just stay safe. Continue to love each other. And we'll see you guys next time. Make sure you check us out at platformcollection.com. And yeah, man, thank you for tuning in.
Thought I should have grown out of this by now. I tell them all the time, I still ain't figured this out. I'm in it for the long run. I still ain't figured this out, man.